Now, a Bedford mother of three celebrated a double victory after she found out she'd beaten breast cancer around the same time her racehorse won the Scottish Grand National. Now, Diana Noel, who owns Kitty's Lights, said watching his form improve while she was going through her own treatment and her own journey inspired her. And she said that it made her just think anything was possible. Now, the thoroughbred is tipped to win the Grand National at Aintree. But before that, Diana is on the phone and she's starting a race of her own. She's going to start Race for Life in Bedford. Good morning, Diana.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. Wow. There's so much here to unpick, Diana. Crikey.
Totally. It has been an amazing journey.
What a journey.
I mean, I've been incredibly lucky. And I'm really mindful of that because with what happened with the diagnosis, there were so many things going on in my life which were the best distraction in the entire world.
Let me dial that back, Diana. So tell me, when did your diagnosis come in? When did you kind of know there was a problem and you sat down with a medical professional and they said, you've got cancer?
Well, I'm just going to rewind slightly further back, which was I got my standard letter asking me to make an appointment for a mammogram. And remembering back, this was 18 months ago, we were just coming out of COVID. Lots of things on the television about how the NHS was overwhelmed. The letter arrived and I had to phone a number, and I phoned it a few times, and fortunately it sat on my desk, so every so often I think I'd phone the number. And in all honesty, and please don't think this is me knocking the NHS at all, it took me 27 calls to actually make the appointment.
Okay.
And one of the messages I've been trying to get over to people is these appointments are free. Whatever it is, whether it's a smear or a mammogram, they are free. They might be difficult to get through. It might be frustrating, but do it. Do it, because I could have so easily said, oh, I won't worry. They'll send me another one in a couple of years' time. And so having had the mammogram, again, I completely forget about it. I never think, oh, I should have had a letter. And a letter arrived, and I just thought, that's routine. And almost took a double take when actually I realised it wasn't just routine. It was actually saying I needed to go for further investigation.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the letter anybody wants. You're absolutely right. We are a massive advocate here at 3CR. I always say this, that whether it be your smear test, or going for breast screening, that don't ignore that letter. Don't put it in a drawer because you're busy, And my nurse at my surgery said to me, especially if you have children, she said the mums that she gets in there that, just leave it because they're busy. And she said, what you don't want to do is to come too late. Nobody wants to go there too late. She said, when you come for your regular screening and they can catch it early, your chances are really, really good. So, you really, really must go. So you then got your letter. And then what happened next?
I had to take a trip down to Luton Hospital and meet up or go to the department that obviously deals with the next stage referrals for the mammogram, and saw the consultant have more tests, more mammograms, etc. And sort of sat there really thinking, really? And it is so surreal. It's so surreal. And she explained everything to me and sort of said, well, okay, they're taking tests, they're sending them away. What happens next? And she sort of went through the procedures of what would happen next. And I just got up and shook her hand and said, thank you very much. And it was like, I really do that. Somebody's just told me I've probably got breast cancer, and I shook her hand and said, thank you very much. And I don't know. I think even though I had to wait a week for the results, I felt like I almost knew, because at no stage did the consultant say, hang on a minute, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
She was very happy to talk about the future and the steps that were likely to happen.
So tell me, at what point then, so you've had your information and you're obviously going to have treatment. So where does your horse come into this?
Well, having been diagnosed, it sort of moves on a few weeks, and please don't ask me times because I totally lost track of what happened. It was just a blur. But at the same time this was going on, Kitty's Light was tipped as favourite to win the Scottish National. And there's one thing I want to say about Kitty. I am not somebody who owns £1 million racehorses. Kitty cost £6,000 and there's 6 other people involved in it. So it's a very small this racehorse. It's kind of, I don't have a stable full of them.
Well, people would make that assumption. I think I would have. Yeah. I would have said, yeah. I would have thought you'd had a whole stable full of them and how wonderful.
No, absolutely not. I've loved racing since I was a child because my father took me and my grandfather, and I got involved in it, but in small ways. And so the whole racing thing is a little bit of a journey. Owning shares in horses. And that sort of shares in horses that probably aren't so good and race on a Monday to Friday. Your next step up in the journey is actually having a horse good enough to even run on a Saturday.
Oh, wow.
That's a massive achievement. Whether it actually wins becomes incidental.
Yeah.
And so we were having this journey that was bonkers. It was very much a kind of, really? I'm very ordinary. I'm incredibly ordinary. And a friend of mine offered me or gave me the opportunity to get involved with this horse with Christian Williams, and never in my wildest dreams imagined that we were going to have a horse that was even, I've got photographs of the betting site showing it as favourite in my memory because it was just like, this is not real.
It's like a film, this is, Diana. Do you know what I mean? It's like a film.
And so we actually flew up to Ayr, and I'd spoken to the consultant, and I said this was happening, and my surgery was the following Tuesday. So the whole experience in Ayr was just. It was just surreal. And I have to say, I am incredibly lucky. I have got the best friends and family ever. The friends, most of which are guys, most of which are actually really quite tall. They're all sort of 6 foot plus. And I'm 5'4" and going to be 65 next month. And they wrapped me in cotton wool.
Well, so they should because they're your mates.
Oh, they were fantastic.
And watching, can I just ask you about Kitty, but watching your horse win the Scottish Grand National, I mean, what a brilliant distraction, first of all, from your cancer. But seeing your horse get better and better, did that somehow help you with your journey?
Totally, because last year Kitty actually came second in the Scottish National. So we sort of moved on a year. And I was waiting for confirmation. I'd had another mammogram this year, so it's back in the beginning of April this year, when Kitty yet again was the favourite for the Scottish National. And so we drove up there, and it was just incredible. It was just really, really bonkers and really, really fabulous, really, really terrifying, which in a lot of ways was kind of a little bit like the journey with cancer.
Yeah.
And the other thing that also happened as part of this was actually the trainer of Kitty's Light is Christian Williams. And back in February, his 6-year-old daughter was diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh, gosh.
So this whole weekend, day, race, horse, people, children just became the most overwhelmingly emotional day. As Casey sort of crossed the line, we all cried. We couldn't, the racing TV people, they were trying to interview us and none of us could talk because we were literally sobbing our hearts out.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised.
I was privileged enough that morning to get up early and go out with the horses and have breakfast with Christian, and we actually FaceTimed Betsy, his daughter, and Tilly and Charlotte, his wife, and the day was just overwhelming with emotions, and just it was. Sorry, I'm flipping backwards and forwards. Going back a year, the whole weekend I completely forgot about the diagnosis. I completely forgot about the operation, actually till after the race. And then it was like, it arrived like a ton of bricks. And I took myself off and had a cup of tea and just went, oh my God, we've gone through this weekend, which has been absolutely amazing. And actually, I've got an operation on Tuesday. And I don't know how this is going to work out and play out. And it's interesting times, but I can't emphasize enough how lucky I've been with my family.
Well, and with, the treatment that you've had, tell me about your link to Race for Life in Bedford, because you're going to launch Race for Life, aren't you?
I am. Well, one of my ways, I think, of dealing with things in life is actually try to be really proactive, get involved in other things. Basically, it stops me thinking about the things that aren't so good. And after I had my diagnosis last year, I immediately kind of signed up for UK research and did some fundraising. And again, that was fabulous. I kind of did a link. I did a whole Facebook about my journey and just said to people, look, so much of the research, the treatments that have evolved in the last 30 years almost totally is dependent on donations, on charities, on fundraising events like the Race for Life. There's so many. There's the Race for Life, there's the Moonwalk for breast cancer. All of them need people's money. Yeah. And it's difficult at the moment, incredibly difficult, because people are under pressure, but taking part in something like the Race for Life is actually for a great cause. Yeah. But having walked around London for 26 miles in the middle of the night, these are great experiences for the individuals. You have a great day, you have a great time, people help you, people talk to you. They're actually great fun, and they can be really great family events, and they're doing so much good.
Diana, you can see Diana, she's going to start Race for Life on July the 29th, I think it is. All the details are on the Race for Life website. Diana, I'm assuming you're in, better health now. You're doing okay.
I am doing okay. One goes along a journey of delightful medication that, is a whole different ball game. But I'm counting my blessings. Every second of every day, I'm counting my blessings.
Diana, it's good to hear you and good to hear your story. Thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time this morning. Thank you, Diana.